everyone, my name is Josh and welcome to WHIMS. And today I'm not going to do my stereotypical top 10 list, film reviews, or alternative options, or book review, or anything like that. I'm going to do a review of a particular controversy surrounding the TV soap Coronation Street and a character called Bobby Crawford. Now, for those of you who don't know, Coronation Street is a television series that began life all the way back in 1960, and it was the brainchild of actor turned writer, novelist, producer Tony Warren. And that effectively, it's become a legacy where back when it was first pitched, people said he basically wanted to do a show about working class Manchester, the world where he grew up. And people literally laughed him out of the room and said, this idea that you have for this show sounds like the most boring idea for a TV show ever, just focusing on the lives of these people in this small community. But it worked. As soon as the first episode aired, everyone just loved it. Everyone enjoyed the characters, everyone enjoyed the dialogue, and how he could literally dramatise such very casual conversations about working at the scrapyard or, talking about this, that, and the other. And it really did show that he really did have a talent as a writer. And people took it to their hearts, and it's become a national institution since. There's been various different characters that have come and gone from the cobbles. There's been all sorts of different storylines that have been tackled, including one that I tackled for a previous video called Richard Hillman, the serial killer. And it's pretty much become an institution at this point. So much so that whenever a writer gets the opportunity to write for Corrie, or an actor gets the chance to star for Corrie, or a producer gets the chance to come on board to Coronation Street, it's considered a very big deal. So when Jack Carroll got the opportunity to play this character, Bobby Crawford, he took it and he pretty much ran with it in whichever direction he wanted. And I really did like that. I really did like the fact that he got the opportunity to essentially become this character. And Bobby Crawford is the nephew of Underworld manager Carla Connor, who pretty much is surprised to see him on her doorstep, but he very quickly starts to make himself at home in her flat, and he starts to very slowly start to develop very close bonds with people in the cast, including Simon Barlow and various other characters. But what's really great about Bobby is he really just kind of looks at life, and he really just kind of has this despite the fact that there is a sadness to his character, like when he shows up, he literally goes to his aunt like, I have nowhere else to go. My mum doesn't want me, my family doesn't want me, couldn't care anything about me, I don't know my father, or I've lost my father. All of that stuff is happening, and he basically has nowhere to go. But he still has a sense of humour about things, and I really do like that. I like the fact that there is this darkness to his character, or there's this sadness to his character, but he still has a sense of humour about things. He still can make people laugh. And it's like, it really is, he really is funny, he really is charming, and I really, grew to like him. And at first I thought to myself, I know that face, I know that voice. And I actually looked him up and I said, who plays Bobby in Coronation Street? And it was Jack Carroll, who actually had quite the career as a comedian before he actually got on to do acting. And he was he did a lot of gigs on Live at the Apollo. He was under the wing of the likes of Jason Mansfield and Frankie Boyle. And then he got the chance to be on Britain's Got Talent. And he actually got so popular to the point where he actually almost was in the running to win. I think he was the runner-up, and he just got lost. He got knocked off the mantle by another contestant, but he gained enough of a popularity so that he could come back for I think he actually won that year, actually, because he came back for Britain's Got Talent, the Champions, and he actually had quite the career. And then of course he started to go into acting. He was in shows he was in soaps like Doctors, and he was in a film called Eaten by Lions, which is a very good film, and there's all sorts of different things that he's done since, but this is his most recent outing, and I actually really do like Bobby Crawford because he is a character that is, like I said, despite the fact that he's got a lot of darkness to him, there's a lot of sadness and darkness to his character, there is a lot of light, there is a lot of a good sense of humour about him. So he starts to make himself at home on the cobbles, and he very slowly starts to have an eye for all sorts of different girls he's got the eye for, and one of the girls that he has a particular interest in is Lauren Bolton. And Lauren Bolton has had quite the reputation as she's come onto the street, because she used to be a part of a sort of almost sort of almost, all white supremacy kind of cult thing. And to me, this is where I think a lot of the trauma for where these characters sort of fit to me, because Lauren was involved in this sort of grooming of sort of like this very racist organization, and very, almost all white supremacy sort of organization. And she left because she was being groomed along with Max, who is the son of Kylie and David Platt. And they got out of it. They testified against the people who were grooming them and indoctrinating them into this organisation. And they were both able to get away and were able to make lives of their own. They both go back to school. They both get an education. Lauren gets the chance to work at Roy's Cafe, and she even gets a flat across the road. So lots going well for them. And at first, when Bobby starts to get Lauren's attention, she immediately, is just not very... She doesn't take to him right away, but very gradually, after they spend a lot more time together, she starts to warm up to him. And they begin to very slowly start a relationship. Even so, to the point where they're actually giving each other nicknames like Bozza and Lozza and things like that. And it is actually really charming and really lovely to watch. And it's really lovely to see that these two, I'm going to call it what it is. These people are literally broken people. Not in a literal sense, but in a more emotional sense. They're both kind of broken people because they have lost everything, but they've also got the chance to get it all back, or to get something back. And I think that's really kind of lovely that these two people came together through this hardship. Because yes, Bobby doesn't have as much of a traumatic backstory as Lauren does, but there is a connection. There is almost a kinship to these two characters. So when they start to get together, it really is lovely to see. But then very slowly but surely, it starts off when Lauren asks Bethany, who's working for a newspaper, she's a reporter, and she's also the daughter of Sarah Platt and Todd Grimshaw. She asks to do an article about Lauren's past, and I think this is where the actual dust begins to settle and the chaos begins, because I think it was this article that got this very kind of all white, almost bigoted organization to get back in touch with her, because I feel like this was the thing that kind of got the attention of all these people. So I think this was the beginning of the end for Lauren, and it really is kind of, it does start to show, because she gets all these very weird messages. She starts to get all these missed calls from this strange number, until eventually he actually comes round to her house. And when Bobby goes to her flat to have a little bit of a romantic evening with her, or a romantic afternoon, they kiss, and he touches her on the shoulder, and she flinches. And we see when her jumper is unveiled that there is a bruise on her shoulder, and she feels very shaken. She's very hurt, and of course Bobby is obviously shocked. And one of the biggest criticisms with Bobby is that he's kind of a bit weird, and he kind of just has these very odd moments. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Everyone is weird to a certain degree. We're all weird to a certain degree. We all have weird little tics and tricks and obsessions. So it's not just a case of him being weird that people have a problem with, I don't think. I think it's simply because he just is a character who is trying to investigate this crime. And eventually it is revealed that Lauren has disappeared, and Bobby is trying to look for her. He thinks that, she could be still around. He even makes an appeal for her to come back. But what's very interesting is people saying, why is he going so crazy over this girl that he's only known for a week? Well, here's where the rub is. I'm going to make a confession to you guys right now. Back when I first started watching the Marvel films, I hated the character of Captain America, Steve Rogers. And I know a lot of people might be typing in the comments, why do you hate this lovable character? How dare you? But you know what? I didn't like him. Reason why is I thought to myself, you're too good to be true. I want to see the dark side of you, or I want to see there's a dark side to you, and I'm going to try to get it out of you. And that's effectively how people, I think, are responding to Bobby. They're kind of thinking to themselves, you're too good to be true. You're way too good to be true. Like, you're too much of a nice person. No one's this nice. No one's this charming. No one's this funny. No one's this great. Therefore, we all hate you. But here's the thing. I didn't like Captain America at all, but that didn't stop people from loving him. That didn't stop my brother-in-law from absolutely viewing him as a role model and an icon. My nephews dress up as him whenever they go to fancy dress parties. Like, they absolutely love Captain America. And my nephew Reed just loves, pretending to punch people in the face and punch Thanos and things like that in the face as Captain America with his shield. Like, they absolutely look up to Captain America. And despite my prejudices towards Captain America, I still didn't like. I still kind of like the fact that my nephews look up to him and my brother-in-law looks up to him, and everyone just loves his character. Because I'd love to write a character that's beloved, that's that beloved. But I just feel like what's very interesting about this character is that that's what I think is happening. People think he's too good to be true, and therefore he has to have something bad. Well, here's the thing. He does have something bad in him. He does have a backstory that a lot of people aren't really that comfortable with, in the sense that he was the illegitimate child of Rob Donovan, who is Carla's brother. He was the co-executive for Underworld, and he was also responsible for the murder of Tina McIntyre. But here's the thing. How Bobby reacts to this information when Carla tells him about his father, he reacts to it the way I think a lot of people are reacting to Bobby. They don't want to believe that he is a murderer. And that's kind of almost par for the course with a lot of people who find out that their fathers are a murderer. They don't want to believe that their father is a murderer, in the same vein as Sean, a character on this show, doesn't want to believe that his son Dylan is a bully. You don't want to believe that your son's a bully, or that your son's a monster, or anything like that. Or if you're a parent, your child is a monster. You don't want to believe that. You don't want to confront that issue. You want to believe that they're good people and that you've done a good job raising them. But no one's perfect. And what's very interesting about Bobby is he does have a very sad past, but he manages to deal with it with humour. And I really do like that about him. I like the fact that he does have this almost, very jokey attitude to things, but he's hiding a very dark past. And I feel like, even though a lot of people don't like him, I do. And I really do think I'm glad that I'm in the minority on this one, because I love him. And I really just think he's he's a role model to me, because he's a character with cerebral palsy, and I have cerebral palsy. So whenever I look at him, I always am reminded, whenever I look at him in this show and I look at him in other things, I always am reminded that I need to write something. I need to keep writing. I need to keep at my writing and just really keep going. And it's almost like he's telling me subconsciously, like, Josh, that novel that you said you were doing? How's that going? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm halfway through, I guess, but I haven't really gone to it for a while. And he goes, well, stop holding it off. Get back back on your backside and start writing. And that's what I feel like he's doing to me now. I feel like he's almost reminding me and telling me, like, please just keep writing. And I really do like that. I like the fact that there is he's there to almost remind me that, yes, this is what I need to do, this is what I have to do. And I just really like him. And even though a lot of people may not like him at first, you might warm up to him. Because back when excuse me, back when the Battersbys first came onto the street, do you remember that storyline, Coronation Street fans? This was the family that gave birth to the two sisters, Leanne and Toya Battersby. And remember when they were first introduced, they were hated. People hated them, people loathed them, and people really didn't like them. And here's the thing. They didn't like them, but very gradually, they became very likeable. They became very interesting. And that's what I think Coronation Street needs to do with this character. They need to make him more interesting. If people don't like him because of the way he is, you might warm up to him, because people didn't like Leanne in the beginning. People thought she was very stubborn, she was very rude. But then people liked the fact that she did have this very tough element to her, that she was very tough and she wasn't going to take things lying down, and she did have, this almost tenacity about her, and people loved that about her as time went on. But people hated her in the beginning. Really think about that. And people might feel that way about Bobby now, that they might not like him now, but they might like him a few years down the line or a year down the line. Who knows? But I am really happy that he's on this show. I am happy with what he's doing for representation. I really do like the guy, and I really do hope that he does well, and I really do hope he finds his happily ever after in one way or another. I really do hope that he finds some happiness one way or the other, because I can't stand to see his heart broken. Because I got to admit something as well. I have a little bit of a crush on Bobby, because there was this scene where he goes to the cafe and he literally says to Lauren, 2 coffees to go. And there's this moment where they're just chatting, and he literally has this look on his face where he just looks so sad, but he looks so, he looks so sad. But I just found myself going, oh, Bobby. But then I also was kind of like going, oh, I've got a little bit of a crush. Because I just fell in love with Bobby. I really did. I fell in love with him as a person. I really did. I fell in love with him because he was just a very nice guy. And I kept on thinking to myself, where can I find a guy like Bobby? Where can I find a guy like him? Do they come as a set, or do they come as a pair? Because honestly, I really want my own Bobby Crawford. I really want someone who, if I were to go missing, or if I was ever to go be murdered and be wrapped in plastic, I'd want someone to go looking for me, and I'd want someone to go and solve my murder like he did, and want to, carry on that legacy and that light. Because he's just such a wonderful person, and I think we all need a bit of Bobby in our lives, even though technically we may not think he's all that, all that in the beginning. But he might grow to, be liked by a lot of people. But who knows? I want to know your thoughts on Bobby Crawford as a character in Coronation Street. Do you like him? Do you not like him? If it's the former, if it's the latter, please let me know why in the comments, and let's have a discussion about it. I hope you're all having a very good day. This has been Joshua from WHIMS Coronation Musings. Take care. Bye-bye for now.